It's time, we're live. All right, I'm gonna bring the meeting to order. I'm Don Berube, 135 River Road.
Kim McDaniel, Select Board Rep.
Carrie Mackinnon, Community Development Director.
Jess Duke, 50 Brown Hill Road.
Sure, you might
Sure,
as
Kristen Hayden, 2 Colonial Terrace.
Ben Davis, 9 Wheeler Road.
Michael Lawton, 3 Asa Drive.
Jonathan Petrangelo, 5 Whittier Drive.
Sandy Crystal, 1 Shoreview Drive.
Okay. So tonight, Ben, you will be voting, and officially welcome back, Kristen. You're almost back officially. All right, first up, we have application 201-25 Maple Syrup Enterprises, continued from 4/17/25, site plan application for proposed 25,324 square foot truck sales, parts, and service facility, and associated parking, stormwater management, and utility infrastructure located at 310 Route 3A. Also with that is application 404-25, Maple Syrup Enterprises, continued from 4/17, conditional use permit to impact 812 square feet of wetlands and 13,345 square feet of wetland buffer for grading and pavement. You're up.
Welcome back.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back.
So, last meeting we accepted, right? What do we need to,
We did all of that.
yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff done already.
Successful walkthrough.
Yeah, we had a site walk last week.
Is there anything to report from the sidewalk?
I think one question we had during the site walk, which you answered, but might be good to just have on record, was the, if you had hit any ledge, or if you foreseed any blasting, and I know you answered it at the site walk, but might be helpful for the other board members.
Who wants that one? I'll take it. That's fine. So,
Did you guys introduce yourself?
yep, Matt Ruthier, TF Moran.
Dan Foley, Ballard Truck Center.
Charlie Grandel Valley Truck Center.
So yeah, based on our site walk and discussion at the site walk, based on the test bits we did about 11. I'm gonna go out and do 2 more next week, just for verification on a couple spots. It was averaging 12 plus feet with no ledge, no water table, for the majority of it, so. We're lucky. There won't be any in the way, but there shouldn't be any for the building, so.
They pulled a ton of sand out of there years ago, the town, and I think even before the town, when it was a I'm guessing it was somewhat of a sand and gravel pit.
Sure.
But, the town definitely moved a bunch of sand and gravel out of there and no, big boulders, so to speak.
So what do we need to do for these?
Do you have anything you wanna report out, or do you want me to? go through the
We are
ones?
just about wrapped up with comments from the peer review from the town engineer as well as AOT. There's nothing of any consequence on those comments. So we anticipate, we're hoping to try to get them done today, but we'll most likely tomorrow be finished with those and sending those out. The DOT permit, we have to just revise our report. As we talked about on site, we widened the right turn out, give it a bigger radius, so with that, we're just doing some minor changes in response to comments. Other than that, we don't anticipate any other issues. Obviously, we're still waiting for the wetland permit from the state as well.
So there was also an aquifer protection
Yeah,
issue
do
that
you
came
wanna,
up?
do you wanna bring that up or do you want me to?
You can
So-
remember.
It was determined that the facility would have greater than 100 gallons of regulated substances in storage on site, which would trigger an aquifer protection CUP. So they have submitted that application and it will be properly noticed for a public hearing at the June planning board meeting. But I don't see any reason why you couldn't approve a site plan with that as a
As a
condition.
condition. And I take it that's motor oil? and-
Yeah, it's antifreeze, motor
Waste
oil,
oil.
yeah.
That's probably your biggest thing that you,
Correct.
And then part of that is, they need to produce the,
Yes, the spill prevention control plan for fire department.
and the, yeah, so there's a spill prevention plan that needs to be reviewed and approved by the fire department, and that's part of that aquifer protection CUP.
did the board have any other questions for them? or- Yeah, Sandy. you-
Well, I wanted to bring up, I didn't vote with with the Conservation Commission, their minutes are not yet posted, but there was a majority of those present that had a concern about the wetland and buffer impacts, and they focused more on the why the and I think it had been mentioned earlier, but why the two-way traffic at the north part of the site was needed, cause that, ends up being a lot of pavement area that could be squeezed down if it wasn't a critical part of it.
I mean, to try to have one way, to have trucks that would have
I
to
mean,
go or.
No, well,
Yeah.
this has, but these are showing two-way things, okay, so it's,
as it stands now, it's pretty much one lane width if there was a truck parked at the dock in order for a truck to go around in a counterclockwise manner. So if they came in through the entrance, went around the building, they would be going one way out back to the front of the building.
You said north though, correct?
On the north side
yeah,
of
on
building.
the top
of it.
side.
So what's the distance from the building to the north buffer?
Yeah, I was talking about the top side,
Oh, you're talking about up here?
the,
Oh, up here? Yeah,
yes, yes.
Do you got like an island in there, looks like?
Well,
Oh, with the double lanes.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have two.
we have this to separate truck traffic from, vehicular traffic and employee traffic. So that's the reason there's the double lane there. And obviously we added the painted island just to create some kind of delineation between those drives.
So when you got trucks coming out, they're not going right across the back of parking spaces?
Correct, because most of the trucks are gonna be going either around the building or through the bays, obviously, so. The intent is to minimize that, which is always a benefit, minimize truck traffic with any, passenger vehicle traffic.
and one of the other things you gotta look at is if there's a truck coming into the bay on the north side, the rubbish trucks are 60 feet long. So if you have a truck parked waiting to get in and then you shorten up that distance, you're not gonna be able to get by it. We only have from the building to that berm. I forget
Yeah, this is 24, this
So
is,
if you had less driveway there, if anything, you could take some away from at the building, but you'd still need to be out as far.
right,
To
Right,
make it,
yeah, cause it's only
So, you couldn't shorten it.
Right, yeah.
or something like
Yes,
that, right?
yeah.
So it's only 86 feet from the building to the end of that asphalt. If we have a 50-foot truck parked waiting to get in the building, it doesn't give you much room
No.
to do anything at that point.
I mean, really, I think it looks like it's gonna be a little tight getting stuff
It is.
out of there all the time.
It is.
So what's the difference between because you talked about for cars or whatever, but then you have parking on the east side that's, adjacent to sales, so I guess
All right, so to get you a little better involved, right here, this is the entrance to the parts department. So people are gonna be coming in, pulling here and parking to go in and get parts, and then they'll be backing out and leaving. So there is parking here for that reason, service department, parts department. So there will be vehicles parked there if customers coming in to get parts or a gentleman coming in to check on his vehicle that's in this for
And then the
service.
front side is your sales.
The front side is sales and new truck parking, correct.
Sales and,
New truck parking in that front lot,
So that's truck.
new and used trucks
oh,
on
I know
display.
there's a truck displayer. I was just thinking of the parking that's along the east side of the building versus that's on the north side of the building.
So the north side of the building is for,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like this versus this, you're wondering, I think she's wondering why you need both of these parking areas?
well, that, the front
Sales.
part, the east part of that is for truck sales and for some employee parking, the office parking. And then the north side of the building is the entrance to the service and parts department.
Right, it's just that it doesn't seem like there are many spots up there for parking. I'm just thinking of, is there, do you have to have a space for car vehicular traffic at the top? Wouldn't, I know you're talking about the entrances, the way you did it, but.
The parts and service entrances, correct. Well, if somebody pulls in and parks, they have to back out to exit. I mean, if you shorten that out and there's a truck coming through and,
Well, that's why I was thinking,
That cars would just come this way.
you know, why you can't have it only on the east side and not on the north.
well, if a customer goes into the parts room to buy a set of brake shoes that weighs 90 pounds, you don't want them carrying them all the way around in front of the building. Basically, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I know, I don't
Truck
want
parts get heavy.
I don't want to, a water pump weighs 75 pounds, I mean.
Right, okay,
brake shoes
yeah, I
weigh
know these are,
Almost 100 pounds for a set of brake shoes,
Yeah,
so I mean,
okay.
a brake drum weighs 220 pounds on a heavy truck. I mean, if they,
Okay.
I mean, just, it's a convenience to the customer, but it can be a safety thing also.
Yeah, I think where you have that, and is that just gonna be a painted island?
Island,
But it
yeah.
gives you some direction to keep,
Keep traffic moving right.
so you could back out of your spot and people can keep coming in and,
Yeah, if you have a rubbish truck or a tractor trailer truck coming in for a delivery, you don't wanna have any issues.
And one of the things with our uptime certification with Mack and Volvo is all that stuff they have certain designs where we have to have, directions for the customers, so when they come in, they know exactly where they need to go and whatnot for service and everything else, so. Or we lose the certification, so that's why all that stuff has to be marked out really well.
Can you touch upon the restoration bond?
It's gonna be my next question.
I'm sorry?
Restoration bond?
Yep,
Can you touch upon that?
on the extent of it or the estimate itself,
Estimate itself, I think.
I think it was somewhere around 200,000 simply because it's the lack of loam on site.
And it was reviewed by the third-party engineer and he felt it was reasonable.
Good.
Just have a public hearing.
we do. Any other questions from the board? Okay, not anything, I'll open this to the public, if anybody has comments or questions on this project. Not seeing any, I'll close the public hearing. What else we need?
So you already did regional impact, you said?
Yep, so I would start with the waiver requests, unless there's other questions.
I saw the comments from the Heritage Board. Is that something that we put as a conditional?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because the one question I had was, there's discussion about the language that was like in the deed concerning the access, and I guess, is there a copy of that, or do you have something that you could read that tells us what the deed currently says?
Yeah, why don't you keep talking and I will. Can't stare at you. I dig it out, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry I didn't ask that sooner, but yeah, that's a good point, thank you. Just,
While she's looking that up,
Do the waivers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you get.
I haven't been here so long.
You see them listed, you could also make them You can make him tell you what the waivers are.
Tell me what the waiver is.
Oh, God. I don't know if I have it in front of me. It was,
Exempt landscaping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alternate tree specifications for utility lines, and then for some reason it's in bold to allow maximum distance between one.
Yes, that's correct.
What was that last one, Snoop?
Monuments.
And those were along the highway.
Yeah.
That we had talked about.
Which, yeah, it's a
It's
pretty
just
obvious
Yeah.
lot line when it's a highway. But you have so many feet from it and hopefully.
Yes.
Anyone have any issue with the waiver request?
No.
I make a motion to approve the waiver requests for section 15.09 exempt landscaping from easement, section 15.09 E3 to allow alternate tree specifications with where overhead utility lines restrict the allowable height, and section 502T to allow maximum distance between monuments to exceed 500 feet.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Let me just ask, this says allow alternative tree specifications, is that what was specified on the plan? I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
you
We're
specified.
not gonna, the intent wasn't to change what was shown on the plan, it was just the waiver to use those and.
To use the, okay,
Right.
all right,
So
good.
It was a height requirement, I
Yeah,
believe.
in the
because of
landscaping requirements, it specifically says, like, if you are under wires or something, you can't do trees that are grow tall, that you
Right.
can use, you know, fruit trees or whatever, they'll be short with a waiver. Like, it specifically calls out the process to do that.
Right.
Okay, I've got the deed.
That was quick. Good for you.
Done this before. Okay, so the grantor reserves for itself and the use of the public an easement on portions of the premises as reasonably needed for ingress and egress for pedestrian access by foot to preserve and maintain the existing historic mill. The easement is located entirely within the wetland buffer area. No public parking will be allowed on the area of the easement. The use and enjoyment of the area, provided such use does not materially interfere with the grantor's use of it, doesn't detract from the natural environment. We agree it's for the benefit of the grantor and the public. It won't be conveyed. And any and all work will be constructed in a good and workmanlike manner.
Very attention.
And then there should be policies related to the proper disposal of refuse and waste material from the easement area, so that it remains in a neat and clean condition.
Carry
And
in, carry out?
there should be notification within 10 days before any work is done in the easement.
Yeah. I guess one of the
No
questions
liability for injury and damage.
one of the questions I have is if we talk about access to the public and anybody wants to do trails, whatever, that is within the wetland buffer. So we should have some condition that it's reviewed, a plan for the trail is reviewed in advance.
So condition would be that any plan for trail
And
is reviewed by
any
who?
impact to the buffer needs to, I mean, for a trail,
Reviewed by who?
I don't know, is it the Conservation Commission?
Someone. The town, I hate when it just says the town.
Wouldn't that be the
Who's
plan, wouldn't that be the planning board?
So I just.
No, I would say either conservation or historic.
I would say
Conservation.
Historic would be involved in it, but who's gonna
But
build?
they don't oversee the
Yeah.
wetland buffer, so
Right.
that's why.
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
Okay,
We-
so
we
any
won't let us
trail in the
anyway.
buffer be reviewed by the Conservation Commission as a condition, okay.
So it says so in this case, the grantor is actually the town.
Because it's, the town has an easement.
Right, so the grantor, so the town has to notify these guys in writing before if the town does any work in the easement.
If the town decides that they wanna put some trails up through there, then you have to ask us.
But I think, I think the idea is that it's going to be a collaborative effort between Valley Truck Center and the
I'm
town
joking.
to make a nice public area for access that is,
And that was,
limits its impact to the
and that's
buffer.
what we wanted to do.
Right,
We talked about that, and that's what we wanted to do, is make it available to the townspeople.
right, right.
only
We
thing
just wanna have it reviewed
Yeah.
ahead of time before
Yeah.
any disturbance. to the
Oh, no, no,
Well, yeah,
no, I-
because we wouldn't, right now, it's basically the way it's written, the town be the one disturbing it, so they're not gonna do anything without checking with you guys, I wouldn't think.
You wouldn't think.
The only thing that doesn't make sense to me is they say on foot, no parking. How are you supposed to get there?
That is the
Well,
challenge.
no parking in that.
I understand that, but where we're thinking where the parking would be, where we'd like to have a little area, that probably falls in.
That's full, that's not part of it.
It's out of-
okay.
it's out of it.
It's out of the
That's
75.
out of the 75 foot. They don't want us to, any parking within the buffer, is what-
Right.
which there wouldn't be.
Any other conditions sought by the board? If not, I'll make a motion to approve application number 201-25 and application number 404-25 with the following conditions. Receipt of other permits, including CUP, AOT, New Hampshire DES wetlands dredge and fill, New Hampshire DES subsurface disposal, New Hampshire DES holding tank registration, New Hampshire DOT driveway, New Hampshire DES construction general permit, and the aquifer protection CUP.
You read it, is it EPA, you said construction general permit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
to comply with department head comments, to provide an adequate restoration bond, professional
Can you list the amount of the
of
restoration?
$206,000. Professional stamps and signatures, all waivers granted and conditions of approval on the final plan, plus any trail work in the buffer be reviewed by the Conservation Commission.
Can I add one more thing for your consideration?
Yes,
The restoration bond needs to be in place prior to any earth disturbance on the site.
okay, so we'll revise that, so, provide adequate restoration bond of $206,000 before any earth disturbance on the site. That is my motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? There you go, the ayes have it.
See you next month.
Any questions?
I have one question. We
Okay.
did, last week wasn't a meeting, the meeting before is when we were,
Yeah.
we had, bring in the stuff for our wetlands application for the state, and I went up and handed it in without conservation signature. So I guess at this point, I would like to respectfully request, if you can, because they're holding it, they told me at the state that there's a
Right,
stay
but,
on
well,
it.
they have, right, but there's a limit, if they don't get our comments by a certain date, they would go on. But I will be sending, something based upon, the meeting on Monday evening.
Okay.
And I'll copy you,
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, is that something we'll get a copy of?
yeah, I will.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, good luck with the project.
Just as a listing of finding of facts, I'll say that it is an appropriate use for the districts and it meets the CUP criteria.
Can I suggest another one is that they reduced their wetland buffer,
Impact.
their wetland impact after their initial proposal. With all of that feedback.
So a third one would be that they reduce the wetland impact after comment from the board.
And another one could be that this was a lot that the town had marketed for economic development, and here it is.
I think that fits in my first one, which is appropriate use.
I just specifically the history of this
Yeah,
lot, is that the
specifically,
town
yeah, the
specifically
lot,
marketed
right.
this
I
for
agree.
development.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Build.
Okay, we need a motion.
Is that your motion? You put the motion? I'll second.
Alright, all those in favor of the finding of facts?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. We ready to move on?
Do we have to vote to continue? Yes, so Amber Bow Associates are not quite ready still. They do have they've had 2 revised plans since I talked to you last. they made a revised plan that this is for the Dow Road 3A intersection, that included a bypass lane, so when you're coming north on 3A, turning left on Dow Road, the cars could get around you to keep going. DOT had some comments that wasn't really adequate for what they were looking for, so now there's a new and improved plan as of like today, that straightens out that, adds a little more room so you don't have to zoom around so far. Make it so trucks can actually, if the first one, if a truck was turning left, they were gonna have to swing out into the bypass lane, so you couldn't bypass them. And then it also brings back that right turn lane for people going south on 3A onto Dow Road. So fixes a lot of those things, waiting for comments from DOT, and hopefully they'll be here next month to present it to you.
Make a motion then to continue application number 203-25 Ingerbo Associates to the next meeting on June 19th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Application 204-25. Gary?
Gary?
How do you
Pro
pronounce it?
Inc.
Gary.
What is the origin of the name?
I don't know.
Anyway, modification of site plan application for 5 proposed electric vehicle charging stations with 10 parking spaces, including 1 ADA space, an existing Hampton Inn parking lot located at 515 South Street.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Rebecca Mazzahoy. I'm with Weston and Sampson Engineers. We are the engineering consultant on behalf of,
Rebecca, could you say your?
it's very long, Mauser, M-A-U-S-E-R, hyphen Hoy, H-O-Y-E.
And what's the company?
Weston and
Oh,
Sampson.
right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So on behalf of New Leaf Energy, who's the applicant, and Geary Vo, who's the owner, we submitted the site plan modification for the development of the EV charging stations at the Hampton Inn. As you mentioned, it's 5 level 3 EV dual port charging stations. And this will provide 10 EV parking spaces, one of which is an ADA space, in the northern portion of the existing parking lot of the hotel. These will be publicly accessible for our hotel guests and the general public. And it's a very strategic location on I-89 and 93, as you can see right on your map there. It kind of connects New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont, northern New Hampshire. So, and this is in the Bow Mills mixed-use zoning district. And the anticipated installer of this at this time is Mercedes-Benz. So we had 5 waiver requests. Would you like me to, I can go through them? Helpful. So the first waiver request was for the survey benchmark and tying into the state grid coordinate system. So the existing site plan that you have, we utilize an existing survey by Eric C. Mitchell as the base map. So we didn't have the CAD file for this, so we used the PDF in our CAD file. So it's not tied into existing base map. But I do have an update on this that Mercedes-Benz has requested that New Leaf have a formal survey conducted. So they will be doing that on Monday, May 19th. So there will be a formal survey that could be used for future construction purposes. But for the plan that you have right now, it's not tied into the state grid coordinate system. The second waiver was for checklist item 5, bylaw section 5.02E, F, and 8.02B. This was a requested waiver to not show the designation of unsuitable land. The project is located within previously developed area with minimal impacts. Then the land is suitable for EV charging station development. The third waiver request was checklist item number 26, bylaw section 8.2M. A requested waiver for the certification of a wetland scientist. As I noted, the area is in a developed area. We're in an existing parking lot already developed by the hotel. We're not within wetlands or buffers, and there will be minimal impacts. The fourth checklist or waiver that we requested was the parking deficit at the hotel. So these are kind of a few numbers, so I'll go through them. Let me know if you have any questions. The hotel has 152 spaces currently. They're already at a 34 space deficit based on the parking requirements in Appendix A, 02 of the site plan review regulations. The project proposes to convert the 12 regular spaces, if you look at the existing conditions map, there's 12 spaces there, into the 10 EV charging spaces. So this would remove 2 existing parking spaces. The total proposed parking would go from 152 to 150. If you look at the proposed regular spaces, so that the 150 would be the EV charging station spaces as well as the regular spaces. The total proposed regular spaces will be reduced to 140, which would increase the existing deficit from 34 to 46. We do have a letter or email from the owner. I believe we might have forwarded that to you, Carrie, but great support of the project. They believe it's a great asset to the hotel and the community. And they do note that even though they already have a parking deficit, typically if there's any overflow, it's usually when there's power outages and they have utility vehicles, and it's like the size of the larger utility vehicles that take up more space. And they have been working with the Chen Yang Li restaurant across the street for overflow parking, so that could help in those instances. And the last checklist waiver was checklist item number 36, the bylaw section 8.02cc and 8.02f. This was the requested waiver for the survey stamp, which I noted before that it will come as of May 19th. So that's kind of the general overview of our application. I'm happy to open up questions or go over anything else.
I make a motion to accept as complete.
A second?
All in favor? Opposed?
And I'm not gonna work with over a 1% reduction in parking spaces.
Oh, no, you won't.
So that was the only thing that stood out.
Yeah, or the rest of the, it's in the parking lot.
Excuse me. I'll note that the fire chief and the building inspector both mentioned a remote shut off. I don't know if I assume that's something that can be easily incorporated.
Yes.
If not, isn't already. And then I guess when you have that, I think the fire chief would probably just like to review the location of it.
Okay.
Obviously, electric vehicle fires are extremely hot and they have to be able to get to the shut off
So
if something's on fire.
We'll make that a condition.
How far is this from the building?
Pretty far. It's at the,
Really?
To the far side of the
Okay.
Closer, I think, to the house.
I was gonna say, it's closer to the neighbor's house, that
Yeah.
was the.
The main reason for putting it there is easy access to the utility interconnection, so you don't have to, you have more limited impacts of, trenching or anything to get to the utilities.
Regional impact.
Public hearing first.
Oh.
Jumping ahead.
All right, all openness of public, if anybody's got any questions or concerns? Not seeing any, I'll close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that this does not have regional impact, application number 20425.
Sorry.
Jonathan got it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
you're gonna make a comment?
One note I'll make about the parking, although they're only losing 2 spaces, I think it should be noted that the charging spaces will be open to the public. So they're not spaces that'll be reserved for the hotel staff, I
Right,
guess. So
yeah, I read that.
So
hard to calculate what percentage of it would be.
what happens when somebody parks their non-electric vehicle in a
I was
EV
wondering
parking
that too.
spot?
There's actually a
Illegal.
name for that.
There's a law.
Is there,
There is a law,
There's
just
a
like parking in a
statute.
handicapped parking spot.
well, except for the, not a handicapped person trying to park there.
There is
Well,
a,
no, that's what I mean, it's the same
No.
idea,
Yeah,
it's like,
same
it's-
idea.
if you don't have the
Yeah.
clear placard, you can't park in the handicapped spots.
You're prohibited
Is there a
from
law
using it
against
as
an
a
electrical
parking
vehicle being
spot.
plugged in too long as well and having to move your vehicle within a timely
I
manner?
don't believe there's a law, I think it's up to the owner and the,
So if you have an electric vehicle that
It's on
doesn't
it,
need a
yeah.
charge, you can park there.
Only if you're plugged in.
Well, no, I
As
guess
far
that's
away
that's
from the
kind of the
hotel as
question.
possible, you can park there, yes.
Let's see, I can't wait to see the big Barubi truck parked.
Every time you visit the Hampton Inn.
Dumped at it again.
List of so the conditions would be obviously apply with the fire chief's requests that there be a remote shut off and that he review the location beforehand.
Yeah, I wanna make sure he's comfortable with the exact location.
Record a signed notice of decision at the Merrimack County Register of Deeds. Any other conditions sought by the board?
Will the survey will be provided?
If they're gonna provide it, no, that's
Yeah, I mean,
not,
so it's, the survey's definitely happening.
it's not a waiver.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so that we would receive a copy of it,
Survey provided,
yeah.
because we're gonna grant him a waiver for approval and then not provide the survey. As a condition, okay. Okay, so we have to approve, I'll make a motion to approve waivers, checklist items 1 and 2, state grade coordinates and contours. Checklist item 5, designation of unsuitable land. Checklist item 26, certification of a wetland scientist. Checklist item 30, a deficit of parking spaces. And checklist item 36, certifications.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve application 204-25 with the following conditions. That they comply with the fire chief's request to have a remote shut off and approve the location. Record a signed notice of decision of the Merrimack County Register of Deeds, plus provide a survey once it's completed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Make a motion for findings of fact that
It's an asset to the
yeah, it's an asset to the town to have
Public.
remote charging, and the impact on parking does not, sort of, is outweighed by the benefit for the town, effectively, of having remote charging.
And it's already
charging.
existing parking.
It's in a already paved area.
That's my very messy motion.
I'll second.
Do I have to? Kind of embarrassing, actually. The findings of fact are that it's already in a parking space, that it's a benefit for the town that far outweighs the parking deficit issue.
Second.
Much better on the second go around.
All right. We get a second over there?
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
You go halfway there?
All right, thank you, good luck. Right, moving right along.
We have them at your house.
Application 205-25, Keller Products, Inc. Modification of site plan application for a proposed 78-foot by 120-foot scale building addition located at 170 River Road, which we just came from a site walk.
Good evening, everybody. We'll follow up to the last meeting.
You state your name for the record?
Yeah. Robert Keller, 28 Rocky Point Drive in Bow. I'm here representing one of our family businesses, Keller Products, who owns the property and all the buildings. The goal here is to get your blessing so I can move forward with this minor addition of an unheated warehouse that will be sprinkled. And there are essentially no other amenities in that building. It's strictly to house raw aluminum extrusions before they go into the main manufacturing facility to be processed and put into their final product to be sold to the customer. So, because it's an existing piece of property that's had essentially nothing done for it in the last 40 to 60 years, this is a minor addition on essentially a fully developed piece of property. So I'm looking to get the blessing so I can move forward and then have a visit with the building inspector so we can sign off on the steel building. Did I miss anything, boss?
I think you got it. Just as a reminder, he was here last month with a conceptual to try to, it's a little bit of an unusual situation that the site was developed prior to site plan review. So there isn't an existing formal site plan. He was asking at that time what the board wanted from him, and the request was for the site walk and to show the vehicle paths, which he's done, so now you have the application in front of you.
I'll make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright.
So as far as the waiver, it's just a big blanket waiver. Because there isn't really a formal site plan, that's what it is.
Public.
Open this to public, if anybody's got any questions or concerns?
Do we wanna have it described?
What's that?
Do,
Oh,
I mean, well, I know we have the plan, but is it?
yeah, oh, yeah, I mean, he's described where
Right, right.
putting the addition over mostly what is gravel, and there was a little bit of area cleared that this is going into.
Yeah, it looks like, I guess the building is 9,360 feet,
That's correct, 78 by 120.
120.
How was the sidewalk?
Quick,
Uneven.
short,
Straightforward.
it didn't rain.
That's right, it didn't
It
rain.
didn't rain, it was dry.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's all cleared out and the access driveway was already there with gravel, so it's.
Makes sense, okay.
I'm gonna get back to my public now. Anybody from the public have anything to? Not see any, I'll close the public hearing.
Make a motion that does not have a regional impact.
All those in favor? Oh, who's
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No regional impact.
I'll make a motion to grant a broad waiver from the site plan requirements owing to this sort of predates town planning.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll say, yeah, the justification, like you said, it predates town planning, and it's a minor addition on the fully developed site. If someone were coming in and wanting to do something totally new, build whole new buildings on the site, then it'd be different, you would wanna see.
Yeah, if you were adding new manufacturing
Yeah.
buildings,
Or new
it'd be
use, or other things
There's
like
not
that.
even new paint.
changing use that would, yeah, it's not even good.
There's no more room. No, that's it.
Well, you got more land over there.
See,
Not to build on, the way it's laid out is just right.
the Manchester.
We already,
Talked about that.
see, the employees is a tough part of,
So list of conditions is really because it is the department head sprinkled, sprinklered. And that's it. Any other conditions? No? Alright, I make a motion to approve application 205-25 Keller Products with the condition that the building have sprinklers and a record be put with the Merrimack County Register of Deeds.
Second.
Record the notice of a decision at the registry of deeds after.
Is that-
I'll help you, it's fine.
you get a second over there from Jonathan? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And
There you
then
go.
the finding of facts is that this is a minor change to an existing site that predates our site planning process.
And we thank you for continuing and expanding your business info.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, am I clear to get with the building inspector so he can sign off on what we want to build?
Yeah, so going forward, there's a 30-day appeal period,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you'd be moving forward at your own risk.
Yeah.
I think the risk is low, considering there's no one here in the audience speaking out against it.
I'm just trying to get the approval done before people start jumping prices on me too.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Sure you
know what that's
are.
about. Yeah.
Someone has to second.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have a good
Someone,
good night.
someone has to second my finding
Oh,
of facts.
second.
Sorry. Not allowed to.
All those in favor of the finding of facts?
Aye.
Opposed? You're good.
Thank you.
The last one was just for us. All right. Papers. Moving right along. Application 206-25, 1371 Route 3A LLC. Change of use site plan application for a proposed plumbing business with a 1,500 square foot garage addition located at 1371 Route 3A.
I'm Kathy Cook, or Catherine Cook.
And I'm Eric Cook. We are 1371 Route 3A LLC requesting a change of use. We own E-Cook Plumbing and Heating, which is located right here in Bow. Some of you may have done a site walk there, maybe a couple of years, 5 years ago, yeah. And we're looking to move the business to 1371 Route 3A,
Where is it now?
54 Wood Hill.
Okay. Must have missed that one.
There's a big red barn out back behind our house.
Okay.
Right at the top of the hill.
Yeah, top of the hill. Yep.
In 1371 3A, I'm on Tallwood, so like, what's near you, what business or, just so I get,
What are we near?
Just past like Bow Auto Parts.
okay,
Yep.
south of it?
Yeah, just south of it, after that, those little like developments there, those little plazas.
Oh, okay.
There.
Yep.
Yeah.
The liquor warehouse is behind you.
Yep,
Yep.
very behind us, yep.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
All right,
Do you wanna explain your proposal a little bit?
So we're proposing of adding a garage to the existing house that's there now, which would allow for parking vehicles in there, box trucks.
And storing like plumbing parts, pipes, fittings, all of that,
This is not visible to the right now, right? It's like kinda set back, if I recall.
There's a pretty dense row of trees and vegetation that shields all of it basically.
Yep,
And that, so it was previously a residential property with some commercial uses in the lower level. I'm not sure if those were
this is
permitted.
where there was the shed garage thing, right?
Yeah.
Right at
Yep.
3A that finally.
yep, we did a demo permit, we've since removed that.
Yeah, it was kind of
It's
an
an
eyesore
eyesore,
for a
for
long
sure.
time.
Yeah,
So it's a residential property in the industrial zone. There was, I think, a salon or of some sort happening there. I don't know if it was permitted or not. So there's a history of some commercial activity there. But they're doing it right. They're here to let you know that they're changing the use. And they would maintain the residential use in the upper level of the home, while having their office and garage there.
So the garage is basically gonna double the size of the building, pretty much.
yeah.
Accept this completely, right?
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept application number 206-25 as complete.
Second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
And so there's a number of waivers, again, there's not a formal site plan, they have a survey plan, a septic plan that they tried to show, you know, what they're proposing, they showed where their parking spaces are gonna be, where the snow storage is gonna go, so they've done their best to show the things on the plan, but there's a few things that you'd expect on, you know, a formal engineer
Yeah.
stamp plan that they have not provided, so. So for that reason, they've requested waivers from things like the state grid coordinates. They've requested to maintain the existing overhead electrical lines because
because
they
they're
have no reason to
existing.
change it. They have not provided stormwater control calculations. The aesthetic design standards I put for the landscaping, that was kind of before I realized that how shielded it is with the vegetation that's there already. So you really can't see it. They have proposed a landscape area at the end of the garage, but you're welcome to do that, but I don't believe that it would be required by our regulations as long as the vegetation remains. They haven't done a soils delineation and they haven't done a lighting plan and illumination analysis. They do have a proposed dumpster area marked, and before I had told them it had to be,
Fenced.
fenced or screened, I keep saying shield, screened is the word, screened. But I think that what's there already is gonna screen it, as
So you're
long
saying
as,
it's so far back that you're not
yeah,
gonna see it.
as long as you're not planning to remove that vegetation between 3A and the building, there's no need to provide any additional screening for those things.
And then I saw a proposed sign too, right?
And then they have also connected to town water. Is that done?
Yep, that's already done.
Customer number 6.
Oh my god.
So this parking area, that'll be all new pavement, I'm assuming, or?
Yeah, I don't know if we'd pave it right away, cost wise, but gravel to start.
And I take it that area is for your vehicles more, like
Right.
you don't have customers
No,
coming in.
we don't have
really.
any customers coming in for, like, we don't have a showroom or anything like that, no.
Is the parking area vegetated now?
It's just lawn area really now,
It's a gravel, it looks like somebody might have used it as a parking lot before,
just overgrown.
just used it
I think you just bought the property.
Yep.
Yep. a month ago. Congratulations.
How many employees do you have?
5.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll open this to the public, if anybody, we don't have much public left back there. Not seeing any, I will close the public hearing.
Is this something that we do a site walk for, or is this too small for that? I don't know, I'm just.
Where's the lighting gonna be located? It's on the, what side of the garage?
It'd probably just be over the top of the garage
Like over
bays.
toward this direction toward the parking lot more?
Yep,
This
right,
way? Okay.
yep. Yeah, we're not trying to illuminate it like crazy or anything.
Just wanna make sure there's lights
Trucks are gonna be
facing
parked
3A,
inside, so
you
we're not
know.
really concerned about, security and stuff.
Something this size, I don't think a site walk would be required. That's in my opinion,
Yeah,
just one
that's-
person's opinion.
Yeah, it's attached to an existing dwelling.
Yeah.
It's been there. I don't see anything being wet up there or.
Make a motion, this does not have a regional impact.
Second.
I'll make a motion to approve waivers. Checklist item 1, state grid coordinates. Checklist item 6, request to maintain existing overhead electric. Item number 9, stormwater control calculations. 16, aesthetic design standards. 18, survey plan details. 25, soil delineation, and 32, lighting plan and illumination analysis.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This in the wetland protection area? Nope, there's no wetlands there.
I mean, that wetland,
Aquifer.
yes, thank you.
I believe it is, and would you be storing any, basically liquids?
No.
Any
No.
sorts of chemicals or, yeah.
No,
No, like, and that comes in volumes of,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything over 5-gallon bucket is where you start to have some standards that have to be met.
nothing.
That's great.
And the department head comments, possible detection and suppression needed. Can you explain?
Yeah, Tom Ferguson left these comments and then took off for 2 weeks. But I talked to the building inspector about the separation between the uses, because you have commercial and residential. And that's as simple as 5/8 drywall on the ceiling, so that's not gonna be a big deal. I don't know if you've talked to Scott or Tom about any potential for fire suppression or anything like that yet, but
what's the square footage?
it'll depend on the size and the use, it kind of comes down to some specific calculations. So
How would I phrase that as a condition?
Well, the garage is 50 by 30.
you can say
It's kind of
to
close to the size of the house.
So the thing is,
I
they're
mean,
not gonna
I-
get a building permit if they don't meet it, so it doesn't matter if you require
Yeah, I
to make
mean,
it a condition or not.
building permit's gonna cover that, whether
It
it needs a
is.
firewall.
it's just
Usually we
like-
try to bring it up now just to make sure everyone's aware if they need to be, but
Yeah.
they're not getting
And I
an
could
occupancy if they
see
don't do
that,
it.
the addition, which is, you know, a firewall is basically two 5/8
Right,
sheet rock,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, right to the roof.
So,
Yep.
yeah, you can want, if you wanna make a comment just to meet the building inspector and fire prevention officer's requirements for whatever those end up being.
Any other conditions sought by the board?
No.
Alright, I'll make a motion to approve application as well, sorry.
206-25.
206-25, with the following conditions, that they meet the building inspector and fire prevention officer's requirements, and that they record a signed notice of decision at the Merrimack County Register of Deeds. That's my motion.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
There you go.
Thanks for
thank you very much.
I'll make a motion for the finding of facts that this is appropriate for the area. It is a minor change to an existing site, and the waivers are broadly applicable because it's so far set back from 3A.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Sandy second.
Aye.
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 Oh, good, thank you.
You must be the last guy on the list.
We'll laugh, let's get home
All right.
And it's not even 8
I
o'clock.
know. Kip keeps you right on my toes.
I'm paying a babysitter, thus. Time is
Application
money,
two
Tom.
oh seven 25 Devin Coleman, site plan application for proposed 6-building, 14,100 square foot self-storage facility, including associated draining permit located at 9 Tallwood Drive.
Next to you, Mr.
Right next, yeah, that's pretty close by.
I'm Devin, so I operate my business, Triumph Home Services. I've got a couple customers in here out of Bow, and I bought the lot next to, we're out of 7 Tallwood. I bought that lot on 9 Tallwood to operate the Smart Max storage out of. So I'm here on Smart Max storage time.
George Chadwick with Bedford Design. As the chair stated, we're here to talk about 9 Tallwood. It's a 2-acre parcel of land, zoned I2. It is in the wellhead protection area in the aquifer protection overlay zone. As the chair had mentioned, we're proposing 14,100 square feet of self-storage space in 6 buildings. The site will be fully fenced in with an 8-foot tall chain link fence, gated at the driveway with an automated gate and keypad. So there is no office space inside this facility. It'll all be via internet and so on and so forth. Site drainage is collected and directed to one of 2 basins on the plan that you have in front of you. One is in the back left, and one is elongated shape up on Tallwood. We have dug several test pits out there, and all the test pits were exactly the same. We
Lot of sand.
dug the 10 feet, there's no water table, no seasonal high water table, and it's all a very granular sand material. Great for infiltration. So again, in
Till
this
you hit ledge.
proposal, we are asking to infiltrate the stormwater. We've also provided the town with a copy of a long-term maintenance plan to show how the site will be maintained, the stormwater basins will be maintained. There's a decrease in runoff. There's actually 2 drainage areas on site, one that flows toward Tallwood and one that flows to the back left of the parcel toward 7 Tallwood. All the basins have been designed, calculations have been submitted, more than large enough for the design storms that the town requires. We are proposing a single well on the property. It's in the back left-hand corner of the property. That well will be used to sprinkle 2 of the buildings. NFPA 1 states that any building over 2,500 square feet in size needs to be sprinkled. So the two larger buildings in the middle of the project will need to be sprinkled, and we are aware of that. We're providing 5,585 square feet of snow storage. That's above what is required by the town. Devon's gonna become a New Hampshire certified Green Snow Pro person. So he'll have certifications, so he'll be the one, not only owner, but he'll be dealing with the snow removal. We have provided a landscape plan as part of the package. We do provide landscaping along Tallwood. They are native plantings such as pin oaks, eastern red cedar, arborvitae, things of that sort. They are all native plants. We also added two small landscape areas in front of the two buildings that can be seen from the gate area that didn't seem to be screened well via the frontage screening that was provided. So we added a little landscaped area in front of those and proposed some arborvitae to help break up the facade of that, those two buildings. We do have a sign proposed. It's the right side of the entrance there. It'll be landscaped. There is a detail as part of the plan set. I believe it's sheet 11, which is the last sheet in your set. Give you an idea of the color scheme and what the detail will look like. Also on sheet 11, there's a perspective per se of the building. On the left-hand side of the sheet, if you scroll over, it's sort of a, without the landscaping and stuff in front, sort of what the buildings will look like. As part of staff review, they did mention that we missed the magnetic north arrow on our plans. It's been added to the plans that you have in front of you, so I don't really need for a condition if the board so chooses. We did submit a traffic memo for the facility. The average daily trips are 29 vehicles per day. The AM peak hour is 2, PM peak hour is 3. The Saturday volume is 36. So again, we're way under the threshold for a major report. I did receive an email from staff. I do know the board has a letter or an email that was submitted to the board from 7 Tallwood. I just want to go over a couple things as it relates to the plan. Hopefully that answers any questions that the abutter may have or in the opinion of the board.
Is it all right if I just share what the abutter's comments were, just for the record? He wasn't able to attend tonight, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but they're representing the Tallwood Commons Condo Association at 7 Tallwood. So they had 3 points. The first was stormwater. Will the proposed stormwater infiltration basins be above ground, holding pond style, or will they tie into the already existing underground leaching basin nearby? Do you wanna address them one by one?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
So it is an open infiltration basin. It's not under the parking lot. We've designed, and I'll just talk about his basin, the one that's closest to him. We did design it as an infiltration basin. It's known as Basin 35. There's a decrease in runoff to that basin, or as a result of that basin. I can go over the numbers if you want, but again, it's in the calculations. The basin itself was designed with the top of the berm at elevation 272 and the peak elevation based on the 50-year storm event is 269.71. So it's actually 2.3 feet of freeboard or additional storage volume above what your town is asking us to design it for. So I think that sort of helps, and I think that may answer that question.
If I remember correctly, like 7 Tallwood Drive next door, their infiltration is under their driveway, right? Is that
I'm
what?
familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's under.
Yeah, I operated it.
And that was because they really were maximizing the lot, I think more.
Looks like they have a
They
catch
didn't have,
basin
they
right on
didn't
the
have
edge there.
space to
Guessing.
Right,
do the,
the above ground
Yeah.
infiltration.
What direction is the outfall from the infiltration basin
It is,
directed?
it's a true infiltration basin, so there is no outfall. If it was to flood, it would flood back toward the site,
Okay.
but no.
Do you have an emergency overflow?
No, but the elevation of the berm is set so that it does flow toward the site
Okay.
and not, toward 7 Tallwood. I think that may answer his first question.
And then number two, it says, third-party engineering review for drainage. Does the board have reason for concern that existing drainage provisions as outlined will not be sufficient to mitigate runoff?
And again, my response to that is that we don't believe it's necessary for a third-party review. The site's all sand. We know it's gonna perk. It's been perking, since it's been there. There's no reason to say that what is designed won't perk into the ground. So I don't believe, with no seasonal high water down to 10 feet, with it all being a very granular material, I truly believe that I've been doing this for, it's my 42nd year. I've had my license for 38. So in my professional opinion, I don't believe there's a need for third-party review in this instance.
Have you
Knowing
conducted
the material.
infiltration testing?
Excuse me?
Have you conducted infiltration testing to confirm your?
We haven't, based on the soil material there, the gentleman that did the test pit, although not a geologist, he's had a septic license for almost 30 years. He went out, he viewed it, and based on the test pit logs that are on your plans, on the grading sheet, we feel it's a 2-3 minute per inch perk, and that's very fast. So.
And then the third point was about excavation of aggregate. It said the remains of a large sand aggregate pile define the northeastern corner of the lot. The pile is topped with trees and vegetation. How much, if any, of the pile will be excavated and removed? If there is excavation required, have the applicant made contingency plans for potential erosion and water intrusion that may result into a butter's property? And they said that to date, they have not experienced any erosion or water intrusion from this area, but it's remained undisturbed for 20+ years.
We don't plan on removing the hill. We do plan on cutting into the base of the hill and putting a little retaining wall. We don't plan on disturbing the vegetation, the trees that he's speaking of, and things of that sort.
So that's,
The hill is very stabilized right now, so we believe untouched, it will stay stabilized.
Can you explain again what?
We changed the
what
plan to
location?
fit that.
What, is that the whole back of the lot you
Yeah,
said
it's the
about?
back of the lot. If you've been out there, it's a very flat lot with a very steep 2-to-1 slope that runs up 40 feet or so. An elevation in the rear of the property with vegetation on the slope as well as trees up on the top.
so how tall of a retaining wall are you talking about going
I
against?
think it's 4 feet.
Yeah, it's
This is-
It's small.
the plan says 6 feet.
6 feet? Okay, 6 feet, thank you.
If you remember correctly, Carrie, we changed our original plan to not cut into that hill.
Yeah, I was gonna explain that. So their original plan they submitted was, had a seventh building across the
Yeah,
back, and they cut into the hill, had a much bigger retaining wall, and then they revised it to remove that.
Right.
I'm not sure what plan the gentleman saw or was referring to. But
Yeah, it could have
he
been.
may have been referring to the old plan.
Yeah, it could have been that one that went out to the butters.
Cause we really wouldn't even, the wall we're putting in doesn't even really go over toward where he's talking about, over on the asphalt drive.
So just for the record, that letter was from Keith Capellini from Get Chem Holdings, New Hampshire LLC, and the Tallwood Commons Condo Association.
So for the fence that's along the front of Tallwood Drive, is there a reason that it jogs out to go down the center of the infiltration basin?
It jogs out to allow additional area for snow storage.
Do you think you should be putting snow storage in the infiltration basin though?
We did not include the area of the basin in our calculations to meet your required amount. If you go to the site plan, you should be able to see a dotted line around with an area associated with it.
I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the,
again, there is, I fully agree.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put snow in the detention basin and stuff like that. But there's plenty of room on the site to store snow.
Can we move the fence? Can the fence be moved?
Um,
We go around the basin instead?
and put the basin on the street side, we certainly,
Is it a
we
maintenance
certainly.
concern or is it?
It would be easier to maintain it if it was within the fenced-in area. The landscaping is on the street side of the berm, if you go to the landscape plan. But, I mean, we could jog the fence back. I truly, I mean, the berm, that basin is only like 2 or 3 feet deep, so it's not like it's going
Yeah,
down in
yeah,
a deep depression.
I think it would just help prevent people from plowing snow into it and it would remove that, cause it's gonna get snow plowed into it if you don't move it, I think.
Sure.
It is noted in
Certainly can adjust the fence,
in the long-term maintenance plan, it is noted that snow will not be
stored
put
in it.
in it, but,
Yep.
but if it's,
And, I mean, so right now that fence would drop down that 2 feet.
That 2 feet, so it,
You stay out of it, you just got a straight fence
it'll
going
go straight
across.
fence across.
So where do you
It'll be
want
easy to
to put
put
it
in.
as a condition, where would you want the fence moved?
I would move it to the
Project
to the
side,
project side and have the
yeah,
basin
that makes
be-
sense, on the street side,
Yeah, on the street side.
that makes sense.
So it'll
That's
be,
fine.
basically it'll be right at the edge of what you're calling your snow
Snow,
storage.
yeah,
Correct.
like kind of along the top of it probably.
Yep.
Do we accept as complete? No. We'll make a motion to accept as complete.
Second.
Sorry, Sandy.
That's
I
okay.
beat you to it.
That's all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, it's complete. Yeah, I'll open to the public, if anybody from the public has any comments. Guess not, I will close the public hearing.
Do we wanna do a site walk? I think it might be good, yeah, to do a site walk, see what it looks like and stuff.
I can offer that it's, and the chair can sorta, disagree with me or agree with me. It's a very flat site, there's no wetlands anywhere near this piece. It's the last developable piece on the road there. You're gonna see a sand pit, that's what
Yeah,
you're gonna see.
well, and I think it'd be good for us to go out and see it. I think it's good to see sites before.
I mean, I will,
Especially with a lot of what you have a lot of buildings you're putting on it and such, so I think it's important to go out there.
When's our next meeting?
I mean, I'm a little curious, you know, on the cut into the hill, but besides the hill, it is flat and
Flat sand pit.
whatever will grow in sand. So will you end up, like your sides that, you know, what's not paving, will that end up grassed or?
Yeah,
covered?
yeah, that's right. We're gonna irrigate it too, so it'll be
Yeah,
well
so
kept.
we-
It's gonna be well kept, it's gonna look nice, just like, it's gonna blend right in with Seven. Seven looks nice, the grass all out front with the
I
trees.
really don't go down there very often.
We can almost see you. Come see you and get a
rare.
sign.
Yeah, since my kids stopped playing soccer many years ago.
so I'll say the checklist items I had identified have been resolved. I guess the aesthetic design standards are a little bit subjective, so I guess I'd ask the board to use your judgment on those.
Yeah,
to
actually,
feel
when,
met.
I know when you showed the picture with the doors, are the doors gonna be blue?
That's the color pattern, is the business color
they-
is blue, bow is
No, like
blue.
blue?
No, we used to have a standard that said it was kind of natural.
It does say subtle neutral
That they sort of
colors.
blend in, so, you know, I didn't know whether you would,
I would like them to be the color of the business, and bow is blue, right?
Well-
The high school's all blue and yellow.
well,
They're not
but the high
orange like-
school
like
building
many.
is not blue. The school colors are blue and yellow,
The
but the high
building
school is.
itself is like charcoal, right?
Yeah.
That's not,
The field house is
It's
blue,
nothing
he's gonna be a
inside.
different shade of blue.
it's to, kind of convey the business color, and it looks cleaner, and it's gonna stay cleaner longer, like a cream colored or a light color is gonna get
No,
dirty.
it doesn't have to be but it doesn't have to be light color.
We didn't choose yellow.
Yeah, I know, I mean, you see, I don't know what the brand is, but there's self-storage units that are the bright orange. You know, with a big
It's
brand that you
U-Haul.
see, and,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
U-Haul.
but your building is actually, you have the picture of the building, this?
Can you do a darker blue
Yeah, I suppose.
rather than it's kind of like a royal blue, so
The
it,
blue I wanted is to match, like, if you were to look at our sign, it's the color of the business itself.
Kinda like your
But
shirt?
Our logo, yeah, similar to it, it's
So the doors are gonna be blue, but the building itself will be brick?
charcoal. No, that's like charcoal.
Charcoal, okay.
And then
This is all we had for a picture from
the
our company stand, but you
sign
see how the sign is, so that, like, the blue and the yellow is, that is the business, that's the brand. So we would like the doors to match the brand.
And given
Yeah,
we're-
is this a franchise?
It's a dead end road,
mine.
like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Devon franchise.
Thank you. What's that?
It's a franchise for the future.
Yeah. No, I like to keep my stuff. But I mean, you will say, it's not angled like that at the road. It's not like you're just looking at doors.
right, no, I
You know what I mean?
realize that,
You're
yeah.
kind of seeing the ends of the building, you know,
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
you will see the doors, but it's not presented
It's,
like this.
right, it's not
Yeah.
face on,
I mean,
right.
that picture kind of matches the sky.
not too frequently.
Sometimes. It's
Not
not
this
bright
big.
orange,
Wish it was a little.
you know, I mean, or
Right.
bright yellow, you know, or neon, you know.
Yeah, I think it looks nice. I like the color. It's clean. It looks welcoming, you know.
Okay.
Of course, it's mine, so it's my opinion, but.
And then, after my comments, they did add the landscape strips at the end of those two buildings that are visible from the driveway to try to soften the ends, for those buildings. So I
Right.
feel like that was a good,
Right, that's helpful, yeah.
I mean, I guess it's up to the board, I mean, it is, it's flat ground until it goes to a big hill.
And I think you might have seen
Yes.
it, but we haven't seen
The hill we're cutting into, we're
Oh,
only
I
cutting
still wanna
a
say
few
one.
feet into it. It's like the very base of it. It's not even really like into the hill. You know, we retracted that whole initial plan because it would be too cumbersome. And you'd need sheet pile walls and it would just look like a roadside project. So we shrunk the size of the project to fit a little bit cleaner.
I mean, because we could approve this tonight, right? Does he have to have a second meeting?
There's nothing that says he
No.
has to, no.
How does everybody feel about the third-party drainage review?
I don't see, because of that area, it's sand, it's, you know, I watched them dig out of it for years and.
The test pits they had to dig them long because it kept caving in, it was just sand. They had to dig them like, it was like 12 feet down or whatever, 10 feet down, but they had to dig it like 20 feet long to get it to stay.
You know, once you get up to the 3A side, you start getting to ledge, we found all that. But if it wasn't, you know, in our back area, I mean, you know, there was a 30-foot hole that never,
How much
See
impervious
water.
area are you adding?
Excuse me?
How much impervious area are you adding?
I don't know,
43,000 was it?
yeah, I don't have that.
It's on for something.
I don't know, I would recommend doing a third-party review personally, but
There's 1900,
For something of this size.
2400, so
Yeah, I don't
I think that
have
was
that
the original.
exact, I think
23.
it's with me right now.
66.
But it might be smaller.
It's like 13,000 square feet.
Well, the building's
the buildings are
14, right?
20,100 it says, just for storage space.
The building's 14,
That
so
was-
it's
Oh, okay,
probably
the building's 14,
It's
so
14,100 now. The
Okay.
original plan was 20,100. So
Okay.
we knocked
Shrunk it
6,000.
down.
Yeah,
4,500 square feet or something.
significantly. Yeah.
I still think they
If I
would
had to guess,
require a third-party review of the drainage, but
probably,
do you?
I don't know, 30%, 35%, something like that.
Okay.
It's probably a good acre plus, acre and a half of untouched land on it.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's here.
I have a couple of questions.
What do you got?
Lighting, so.
Oh, I forgot to
day
mention,
lighting.
I apologize. Lighting is all wall packs around the building, there's a lighting plan as part of the set. It's all downcast lighting, night sky compliant, all that type of stuff. Shielded down so it faces right down in front of the building versus projecting out over the property lines.
And then my second question was, what was the thought behind just doing that? Is it based on our landscaping requirement for those first two buildings? It looks like you're adding trees in there.
Yeah, so the reason we added a little bit of landscaping in front of the first two buildings there is because it's gonna be visible from the gate. As you're driving down the road, if you look through the gate, you'll see it. Otherwise, the entire front of the property is already all landscaped. So it's just, we sort of can't landscape where the driveway is.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to break up the facade of those buildings.
Basically, our landscaping requirements require the strip in front of buildings where it's visible from the street.
Well, that's why I'm kind of asking that, cause technically that would be every building then, from the street, right?
Well, they're adding.
What are you doing
But
with
they're gonna be
landscaping?
landscaping across the front there.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's where the drive
So it's
goes
just
in.
where the driveway is.
Yes,
Where you
yeah.
can- It's where you can see through it, cause the rest of this landscaping across the front will generally provide some screening. And then there's a gap where the driveway is.
Yeah, our intention is to make it look nice and well kept. It's a customer location, like we want it to look nice. So we don't wanna just put the trees there so it meets the rules. We want it to be inviting and look great.
Yeah, I get it, I was wondering if it's even, like, with the amount of plowing that he's gonna be doing around that, like, I don't know.
With the amount of what?
Cause you're gonna be plowing in and around those buildings, and I mean, I get what we're trying to do, but I think he's gonna have enough landscaping, and you got a gate that's going across there. That was my only thought behind that, is it necessary?
I mean, you know, we did, if I may, Mr. Chair, the reason we did add it, because it was brought to our attention, your aesthetic landscaping rule there. I read it and trying to offer something to meet the intent of it. I think maybe it probably shouldn't apply in the industrial zone, that's my opinion. But I understand why it was written for the district it was in at the time, but in the industrial zone. You look down along all those buildings, I think, what is it, JM Electric, or whatever the JM's, nice and landscaped there, and maybe 7 Tallwood, nothing against your building, but you don't have any landscaping between your building and the road. And none of the other buildings do either. So, again, we're in an industrial zone, right? We're in an industrial district, so.
And you're off 3A. I mean,
And we're
my
off 3A.
landscaping of, you know,
Right.
is a split rail fence and
Yep.
low lawn.
Sure.
The soccer
Yeah.
building's landscaping is just piles of steel.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The
The big
next
thing.
building is, there's nothing on there.
Well,
I mean,
and this is why doing a site walk
Yes.
and you could see other things in the area
Yep.
might change our view.
Alright, let's do a site walk.
19th?
The meeting is on June 19th. Maybe right before the meeting?
Yeah.
I won't be there, but that's
I
fine.
won't be.
Summer stuff. Sorry.
We'll get
It's the only meeting this summer I'll miss, but same here.
Will you there?
Will you be there? Will anybody be able to make the said site walk before the next meeting?
Sure.
Is that June
I can
19th,
volunteer
you
now,
said?
too.
Gary, June 19th?
Do we have a quorum for the 19th?
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm starting to wonder, do we have, can we have
Is
a meeting?
school out and so everybody's like fleeing?
Yeah, basically.
Do you wanna move it to the 12th?
I'll be there. I don't,
No, I can't.
personally, I don't think I need to go down there, cause I know the area pretty well from soccer.
It's been empty forever, we're gonna dress it up now, like do something with
Well,
it.
do we wanna do it a week earlier?
What, the whole meeting? Is that
No,
what-
no, no.
Well, I'm worried that we are not gonna be having,
Yeah,
who's
if we-
gonna be here on the
No,
next
but
week?
I'm thinking
I-
of
I
doing
will
the
be
site,
here on the
oh, I see, you
Who's
were.
gonna be here on the
Yeah, we're trying to see if we have a
Who's
meeting the
gonna be
19th.
here on the 19th?
I'm here on the 19th. We have a
Okay,
quorum.
we got 5.
4 or 5, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because he is kind of anxious to get going,
Of course.
you know, and get building here, so.
It's steel, so the prices are like
If it's a
all over the
short
place.
one, can we schedule it for 6:30?
It should be
You're asking the wrong person.
Can we schedule it for 6:30 if we think it's gonna be a short one, so we can just come
It
right
should
here?
be
Sure.
short.
Besides
We
personal.
could, yeah.
Easier with babysitters.
We'll have to eat.
Dinner is tough.
I'm a strong proponent of dinner.
That's true. Alright, so it's 6:30 on the 19th.
And then third-party engineer review?
I don't think.
I don't think we need that for this. I mean, this is a flat piece of land and sand.
Do we have all the drainage calcs?
We do.
I'll take a look at them.
Okay.
I'll be
I don't
there
print them
Friday.
because it's Greek to most
So
of
we have
us.
to make a motion to continue. Have to make a motion
We
to
will.
continue.
Yeah, one more thing I just wanna mention is that there's no parking designated, but our parking requirements, I think it says TBD for parking for mini storage.
Wow. There's no, you come to a facility like that, you park in front
You
of
park
your
in front of
unit,
your
you load
unit.
your stuff and you leave, right?
It's
So
on-
there's no
it's on
office where maybe you need a parking space or two,
Yeah, because you don't go in and talk to somebody.
there's no one to talk to.
You go on the computer and
Yeah, it's
All your
Do that at
aisles are
home
wide
on
enough
your
that you can
phone.
have 2 vehicles, so somebody could pass by if they need to.
Yeah, it says to be determined, so,
We should probably fix
we
that.
should probably determine that. I mean, I think, it doesn't mean like, I think it means it's to be determined by the board, like on a case basis, not like we'll get to
we'll
it
get
when we
back
get
to
to it.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be parking required
I
just
don't-
because of
Exactly.
you park in front of your unit and
Maybe the D is discussed.
No, it literally says determined, it's written out.
Nice try.
Um,
I was trying
But
to.
I agree, I just wanted to make sure that that was brought up because we haven't usually parking is a.
I'll make a motion to continue application 207-25 to June 19th and have a site walk at 6:30 PM on that evening.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
See you then.
Well, we thank the board's time and,
Thank you.
appreciate it, thank you.
Yes. Minutes. I'm not voting.
Fieldhouse, is that is that operational, Fieldhouse Sports? Is
They
that-
sold it, it's now just like a
Metal.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Maybe metal
Yeah.
stuff.
It's made
The parking lot's full of steel.
Very sad.
I know, right?
Gotcha.
You came before this meeting? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
When did your son get that?
Hmm?
When did your
Yeah, do
son
you
eat?
feed your kid?
He eats at like 5:30. But I'm not gonna eat buttery pesto, right? We don't sit down for a 4-course meal.
You don't want some chicken nuggets and some buttery pasta, the go-tos? Yeah.
That's right, I had a chicken patty for dinner, so it's one big
Where's your
chicken
toddler
nugget.
I had my son's leftover popcorn shrimp, 'cause he didn't like it, so.
Yeah, I had last night's dinner's leftover tonight. Chicken and rice.
No food waste. Actually, don't know. Any changes, Sandy?
Yeah, let me just, on, let's see, like 133, this is Eversource. It said the plans provided tonight are currently proposed access routes. I would just cross out currently proposed access routes because it says are utilizing established access ways in which which are a lesser impact option. I think, 135, the pile of, it's actually like construction wood, so it's not just, tree wood.
So lumber,
Well, it's
construction material.
construction materials, yeah, construction materials, that's fine. And actually, it may have been more than.
Get rid of,
More than wood.
Pile of wood with
Wood, I think
replaced
the
with
other side
pile of
had other
construction
things.
materials.
just construction is a large.
Pile of
Pile of-
construction materials in the buffer.
On like 138, I know that we had, the Conservation Commission had talked about installing wetland buffer markers, but I didn't say that Eversource would, because I know it's not Eversource property, so I don't know. Consider installing wetland buffer markers in the area and not
So just add the word
say
consider.
take out the Eversource.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, okay, just like, I'll just take out Eversource.
So, yeah, consider installing, so add ing to installing.
Consider instead of suggested that?
Just say,
Wait a second,
and
you're confusing
suggested,
me.
and suggested, take out that, take
Yeah.
out Eversource and make installing.
And say, yeah, consider installing.
Consider.
Oh, never mind, yes, take out consider.
No, I got it, I got it.
Got it, okay. Then the
I'm
other,
glad you did.
the other thing I wanted to, I didn't know whether it was really necessary between 139, 140 to say, it's unlikely that the town could hold Eversource accountable. I don't know whether there was any.
I think I said that.
Right, but it's not a transcript.
I know. Yeah.
So I just,
To assist with this cleanup and get rid of.
no, I think, it says Ms. McKinnon suggests Eversource do as much as possible to assist with the cleanup and just leave it at that.
Quinn likes to watch them.
Okay, that's it.
I
mean, that's it, so that's,
That's it for that section.
okay, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna cross off, however, to,
To the end of that
the
sentence.
sentence, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And on, let's see, 227, when it says the full wetland is approximately, just say
Just one second.
you could take out full. Line
The
220,
wetland,
just take out the word full in front of wetland.
okay, gotcha.
And I think that's it. I move approval of the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm not voting.
You're abstaining.
Yeah.
All right, the other business for us.
That was public.
And I have, and I have one as well. So, I've been the planning board CIP member for the last 4 years. This will be the 5th year. My question is, do you want me to remain as that member, or do we wanna take a vote for someone else? I'm happy to continue, given the,
CIP is
Capital improvement
town plans
program.
long-term ahead to have, so when we buy like a fire engine, we don't have like $1 million hit in 1 year. We know
You have
we're gonna
like a
need a
bank
fire
account
engine
for
in 8
the
years,
different.
and so we save it. And so we have reps from all over sitting on this committee, and they just go through and say, we know we need a police cruiser here, let's plan ahead.
it's a meeting every week,
Every
starting in
Like-
May. Depends.
For the summer?
Starting in May,
Yeah, the first one's in May, per the email, yeah.
it would never be there. That's what Cheryl wants. It won't.
Huh? No, Mark Davis put it out there, so the first meeting is the end of May to elect the new chair and vice chair, and then the meetings would start the following week in June and be once a week, so.
And you were volunteering to stay on
I'm
that?
volunteering to stay if you want it. Otherwise, if you want it, I'll give you the 5 binders that I have.
Jumping at the opportunity.
I think we're happy for you to.
Alright,
Would you like a motion?
yeah,
I'm interested in going to these CIP meetings, but as an alternate, I don't know if I'm able to be the person. I might be attending them anyways, as I'm on budget committees.
I'm happy to have an alternate if I can't make a meeting, so if
Do you wanna
Ben's.
be?
If I can, as an alternate on this, board, if I
Absolutely.
can do that.
Don't see why not.
I think so.
Did you want to be a regular? Cause you know, I snuck a regular position some.
You can,
I was an alternate before, so.
still figuring this all out.
No, I think,
I am too, so.
We all
I
are.
think if Jonathan can't make it, you can go. I mean, you're on the
Yeah.
budget, so you.
That's,
Especially
I'm
if you're,
okay.
yeah, if you're gonna be there, that's great.
Okay.
Um,
Alright, I'll communicate that to Mark then.
perfect, kind of on that,
Is this just like a consensus or a vote or what?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Jonathan as the planning board rep on the CIP committee.
With Ben as a-
With Ben as an alternate.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. It's official.
on that note, I was kind of waiting until we got all the new members seated and situated, but we do need to do election of officers for this board. We don't have a secretary anymore. So I don't know if we wanna, sounds like the June meeting might be a little light on people, but
But then if,
Those
so
are the
Jessica's
people that
not
get
here,
She gets secretary.
we can vote her.
so I just think about it.
What is the secretary?
So
do?
the role of the so the role of the secretary is to review them, basically after Ginger prepares the minutes, the secretary reviews them, edits them, before they go to the board, just as an extra set of eyes on them. And then takes minutes at the site walks, which are basically documenting who was there. Yeah, that's about it. And then sometimes in a non-public session, the board secretary would take minutes, but Ginger's usually there to do it too, so. That's basically
And
the
if the
roles.
chair and the vice chair aren't there, you get to chair the meeting.
Oh, well, then I definitely will.
Ah,
My
you-
gavel.
We might
Yeah,
get to hold
that's
his
right.
gavel.
Your vice chair is perhaps the most consistent attendee of meetings in this entire town, so.
Of all meetings.
Do you wanna do the
And-
vote?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't mind staying as chair if you have me. So-
And same here with vice chair.
Should we do it?
Everyone's here tonight, so it might not be a bad idea to
Sure.
Let's do it.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Don Bruby Jr. as chair, Sandy Crystal One Shoreview Drive as vice chair, and Jessica Duke as secretary.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
How many years has this
There
been?
you go.
Let's hear, how many years?
Forever.
As chair, I'm not
Chair
when did-
emeritus.
Bill Oldenburg.
Yeah, when did
And before Bill, it was Art Cunningham.
How long was Oldenburg on board for? He must have been on the board a long time.
He was on a
He
long
was,
time.
he was a long time, and I took his spot on the CIP committee,
Should we
so
get-
that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He was a traffic guy.
Yeah.
It was really nice having him here because he just knew that state transportation.
Well, we've often had DOT, a DOT person
Yeah.
on, way back when it was Gil Rogers.
Yep.
So, thank you, Kristen, for coming back.
Yeah.
And we still have one open alternate position if anyone knows anyone, but
Especially if they work at the DOT apparently.
but that's great that we have a fuller board now. Couple other things I wanted to mention, so at their last week's meeting, we were supposed to be looking at the site plan and subdivision regulations, and that didn't happen. I didn't even bring the stuff tonight, cause I thought this was gonna be a long meeting.
Thank you.
But we do need to look at
Yeah.
that stuff at some point. It sounds like the June meeting is
If it's light.
could be
let's-
light. The deadline for
Famous
applications
last
isn't
words.
until next week, so
You just
you could get like
just
6
jinxed- you
applications.
just
Yeah, right, right.
We're gonna be here until.
Usually I know about them because they've talked to me already and I know like one that might sneak in. So I'll plan to add that stuff in on that meeting, assuming we can do it. The last thing I have is a little bit late, but I got it finally, the fully amended zoning ordinance with the amendments that are approved at the 2025 town meeting. I have a copy printed and I need everyone to sign the certificate of adoption. So if anyone wants to look at it, you can, but I made the amendments that were voted on at town meeting. So that's that.
If I can't go to the sidewalk on the 19th, someone else will take theirs.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ginger creates a template for the site walk minutes and she would reach out to you first and then if you say, hey, I'm not gonna be there, then she'll make sure someone else gets it.
Okay.
And they're easy, it's basically who was there and you can write a sentence about the work of the site and if there are any issues that were brought up, you could. But it does not like full out minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. He's
All in
busy
favor?
writing.
Aye.